Everybody, this is Aaron Trevino back on our Texas Real Estate and Construction YouTube channel. And we have Clifford Walker here. He's a really interesting guest here in the Texas real estate market, particularly in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Clifford, how you doing?
Ooh, doggy, what is going on, brother? I am doing phenomenally well. I appreciate you asking, and definitely it is an honor and a privilege and a blessing to be here with you again for the second go round. So I'm definitely excited about this.
That's right. It's crazy. We were catching up a little bit before the call, and I was saying, man, I can't believe it's been, what was it, 3 years since we initially connected, right?
Yeah. When I was fresh into real estate, I think I was maybe a year in at that time and just stumbling forward, and I'm still stumbling forward, but
yeah.
but yeah.
No, I love to see it. And I don't say this, lightly or just to make you feel good, but man, I think it's been really neat just seeing your journey the past few years. I've been I try to catch up with you when I can a little bit on social media, but just the amount of progress I've seen and you going to these speaking engagements, it's been awesome to see.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's been an adventure, to say the least, and I'm excited for everything that God has done for me and through me and continue to do. So let's see how far we can take it now.
Yeah, I love it. When I guess what was memorable about our conversation was really the title of the last video we did. It was I think it was something like truck driver to real estate investor.
Yeah.
And I really just found that hits home for a lot of people, right? Because of real estate, you think, man, I got to dedicate myself fully and I have other commitments. And when I heard your story, I thought it was really relatable for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think that most people we're all working, majority of the people, right? Having other obligations, other careers, other jobs. Like most people aren't living at home and saying, hey, I want to start real estate investing. Let me give it a try, right? It's majority of the people, and I could be wrong, are working, have families, maybe careers, and they want to make a transition. And I think that's what even the book was about, Roadmap to Success that I wrote, was sharing that transition, how I went from full-time truck driver to full-time real estate investor. There's tons of listeners who are like, man, I really don't like my job. I really want to try something different and do something different. And I want to give them encouragement and guidance and support and know that you can, despite what you're going through or what your current situation is.
And those words of encouragement can be, a lot of times it can be tough to even hear the encouragement, right? You're kind of in the middle of it. You're thinking, man, I got, these bills to pay and the economy and, oh, this election's coming up and all this other stuff. And you just kind of think now it's not the right time, right?
Yeah. I think that's limiting beliefs talking, right? I mean, we can always talk ourselves out of some stuff really quickly. Like self-doubt is one of the biggest dream killers in my opinion, right? Well, what if this doesn't work? Or like you said, we have the elections, or what about the economy? Or what about this? Like, well, I did an actual post, I would say a couple weeks ago, but I said, let's switch those what ifs to good what ifs. Like, what if this does work? What if the timing is perfect? What if the economy is right? Like when you really start to change that from a negative mindset, right? Like, oh, the economy's bad, to, what if this does work? The economy's great right now. It just changes your perspective. And I think that it gives people, I don't know, a little more freedom, maybe, or a little more encouragement to pursue it when they're looking at it from that angle. Maybe.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of that mindset shift, right? Because it's, you can find any sort of free information online about, okay, what wholesaling is or conceptually how it works, but a lot of it, it sounds like it's a lot of mindset too.
It is. with anything. That's where it always starts. Now, I'm a spiritual person. I'm a man of faith, right? But even in the Bible, it says, let us be transformed by the renewing of our mind. Like, I'm on this this fitness journey right now.
Yeah.
Let's use this for an example. I had to first believe in my mind that, okay, I can get shape. I'm ready to get in shape. I want to get in shape. I want to get this weight off. I had to make that mental shift before I ever stepped foot in a gym. Right. And I think that that's with anything in life. If you want to pursue a new career, if any of the listeners here are like, you know what, I really, really want to do something new. Well, it starts with making that mindset shift. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. And then now we're going to follow the steps to actually make it happen.
Mm. In addition to making those steps, it seems like from the jump, it can be very hard to do, right? Because if you think about truck driver, even the subtitle to your book, truck driver to real estate investor, to the average person, that seems like, wow, those are two complete opposites, right? So
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, how did you handle that identity shift? How did you identify yourself? Okay, now I'm a real estate investor.
It was crazy. So like, I would say coaching and mentoring definitely helped me. But in a nutshell, like when I was driving trucks and I was over the road, and I remember it specifically, like I was in West Texas and I heard this podcast, not because I was into self-development during the time. It was just the only thing on the radio at the time, iron like that we could get out there. And so, but it was a guy out of New York talking about how much money he was making doing real estate investing, doing wholesaling. And I was glued to the episode, just tuned in on everything he was saying. And I'm like, oh, okay, I want to do this. And then that ended up leading to another thing, like going to seminars and all of that stuff, where I first got my first coach and mentor. So I would definitely highly encourage anybody, like if you want to fast track your success, find a coach or a mentor or a community to join, because that's going to help you start thinking like a real estate investor, start thinking like somebody that can analyze deals, that can do deals, that can close deals. And you just start having those conversations, right? Like, let's say I wanted to be an ice cream maker. Well, if I sit in a room long enough with people where all they do is make ice cream, I'm going to learn something about making ice cream. Right?
Yeah.
So it's the same concept. So I would definitely encourage anybody to find a community to be a part of. I think that's a game changer. And if you read any success books like Napoleon Hill or something like that, they talk about the power of masterminding and networks and communities.
Absolutely. It's so true. And it's interesting where, at least in this new technological age, we can feel like we're more connected than ever. You follow rich people or celebrities or, whoever you want on the internet. But at the same time, we're also craving that sense of connectedness, right? Particularly the people who are going to walk with us on the same road and accompany us.
Yeah, agree. And it creates an opportunity to collaborate with people, right? Like if I'm going into new construction or new builds or new developments, like I know that I can call you and I can get some kind of guidance down that rabbit hole, right? So it gives you that ability to where I don't have to figure it out by myself. Like now I have somebody to lean on and somebody that I can potentially partner with, do deals with, and it just creates, again, a whole new world of opportunities and connections.
Absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate that. And in terms of the deals that you're doing, are you mostly focusing on wholesaling, or at least day to day for you? What types of deals are you mostly handling?
So wholesaling, I would say, would be the bulk of what we do. We still do the wholesaling. We have added some additional like creative strategies. So I don't know if on our last call we were talking about, I do sub twos, creative financing, and I also started learning just this year alone novations, which is a different way to kind of wholesale, so to speak, but just a way to get better deals or bigger assignment fees. I still flip, I still buy rentals, but my only thing, and I was talking on another podcast, I'm actually kind of a lazy investor. So I'll only flip if I have a partner because I don't like it. It's my least favorite strategy. I know that all of the HGTV shows make it look so glamorous and fun, but no, I don't like going to Home Depot and picking out tiles and granite and all that stuff. I don't want to have no parts of that. So I rather find the deal and then find a partner and say, hey, I have an amazing flip. Aaron, you want a partner on it? Absolutely. Perfect. And that's how I kind of structure my flips now.
That's some great insight there. Is that mostly just logistically, right? Like you're going to have to be on site all the time, handling materials and work, or are there any other reasons why you kind of focus more on the wholesale?
It keeps the main thing the main thing. What I find with new investors, specifically getting started, they dabble too much, right? Like you need to pick a lane and kind of stay in that lane and get really good at it and then start branching out, in my opinion. And so what this allows me to do is to keep wholesaling the main thing, keep wholesaling the baseline, right? Because it gives me the ability to find off-market discounted properties. So as long as I keep that machine rolling, I can get the other stuff. Like I can get the flips, I can get the rentals, I can get all that other stuff. And so if I just pass that baton like a flip to somebody else, well, I still get to split that capital that we make from it without it distracting me from the main thing.
Sure, that makes sense. It sounds like the wholesaling is really the driving force of your business. And then, like you said, you want to keep the main thing, and then letting the other sorts of deals come as they may, right?
Yeah. That's how I like to operate.
Sure thing. And, what are some, maybe common mistakes that you think? I know you said, you want to pick a lane and you want to stay focused, but maybe what are some common mistakes or recurring trends that you see with people who are new to wholesaling?
Honestly, I'll kind of piggyback on what I said a second ago. Like, I believe a lot of folks hop around a lot. They see the shiny object syndrome, right? First, they hear about somebody doing wholesaling and making all this money wholesaling. Then you're going to go to the next YouTube channel and you hear about somebody making all this money in flips. And then they come across Aaron's channel. And then now you hear about new construction and new development and all this. And now you want to do that. Oh, by the way, you saw the multifamily, right? And then the storage unit. So many people chase shiny object syndrome, and they end up not getting the traction anywhere because they're just dabbling in so many little things, and then like, oh, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work. No, it all works. You just didn't stick with it long enough to get the results that you wanted. I think that would be some of the really biggest mistakes that I see new investors making.
Sure. So it sounds like focus is the big key. And like you mentioned, really picking that lane. In terms of startup capital, obviously something like construction, you need at least a little bit of money to get started. With something like wholesaling, is it really true that you can get started with essentially no money out of pocket, or do you kind of need something to kind of carry you along?
I think you can really get started in wholesaling with very, very, very little money. And when I say very little money, I'm talking about maybe less than $1,000. I would honestly say less. And sometimes you can actually probably get away with less. But let's say, for example, when I got started, I did not have a marketing budget, right? And so what I did was I would print off the pre-foreclosure list and skip trace it. That's where majority of your cost is going to come from. So you got to pay for PropStream. That's $100 a month to get the pre-foreclosure list. Then you have to skip trace it. That's going to cost you 10 to 15 cents a lead. So let's say that might cost you a few $100s to skip trace. And for the listeners, if you don't know what skip tracing is, It's basically where we're getting all of their contact information for the properties. But that's what I would do. And then I would have my cell phone and I would be picking up the phone and calling them all day, every day, literally 10 hours a day, 10, 11 hours a day. Like, it was brutal. It sucked, but it worked. And it allowed me to get deals, close deals, and then now I can pour that money back into marketing for scaling and growing and making my life a little bit easier. So, yeah, I don't know too many businesses where you can literally start a business for less than $1,000. Like, if you start a restaurant, you need furniture, you need a location, you need staff, you need food, you need utensils, you need all these things before you even open the door, right? And same thing with a clothing store or anything else. Practically, there's very, very few opportunities like this that real estate investing provides. I mean, technically, and I would even value your opinion on this, you could probably even get into new construction with little to no money. If you get a good deal, just go and get a private money loan or a partner and do it that way.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would say yes and no, right? So with construction, there are upfront costs, especially given that, compared to a flip, you're going to be putting more money into the deal, higher cost to build. Maybe you could spend $50K on a flip versus you're going to have $300,000 worth of construction costs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you have the right deal and you structure it the right way and get the right partner, you come out looking pretty good.
Exactly. I think that real estate is a lot about solving problems and getting creative.
Yeah.
The more problems you can solve, the bigger problems that you can solve, the more creative that you can be in structuring deals, finding partners, getting the right people involved. And again, I think circling back around, that's where community comes in, because you need a community of people to put those type of deals together.
That's right. Yeah, especially, like we mentioned about, being on the same page as other people that are on the way with you as well. And I'm curious, another word you mentioned earlier was marketing, right? So you were talking about, you were kind of, walking through the mud a little bit, these 10, calling for 10 hours and, closing these deals and then reinvesting that money into marketing. When an investor gets to that point, they've done a little bit of the wholesaling, they kind of understand what's an appropriate way to really double down on your marketing?
I think it's how fast they want to grow and scale, to be honest, and their current needs. If they close some deals from just simply cold calling and you make $10,000-$20,000 on those deals, well, can you take 10,000 or half of that and pour it back into marketing to make your life a little bit easier and start generating more leads? At some point, now you're like, okay, now I'm going to need help. If you're getting, 6, 7, 8, 10 leads coming in a day, which is a lot, like, can you handle all of those leads yourself? Do you need to bring somebody in to do the follow-up and start actually turning it into a full-blown business? So I think that it just depends on the person, because I actually have a buddy who does marketing just to buy rentals. He's not trying to build out a full-blown business. He's not trying to do any of that. He doesn't mind taking the calls. And so for him, he's like, yeah, I'll do the marketing as much as I can handle on my own comfortably, while he's still working his full-time job and just buying rentals when he gets the good ones.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it too, because it kind of seems like some people have an all or nothing kind of perspective on it, right?
Yeah.
Either I'm completely out of the game or, I need to dedicate everything and go in head first, right?
Yeah. And I don't think it has to be that way. I think that there's a common, I don't know if hatred's the right word. There's a common thing I believe around entrepreneurship where it's like, no, don't work for no 9 to 5, quit that job and just become an entrepreneur. Well, I don't believe that everybody's cut out for entrepreneurship. Like, I've had some hard months. Like there's a lot of volatility, especially when you're just getting started in income, and a lot of people can't handle that. There's a lot of unknown and a lot of pressure, right? But you can leverage your job to get what you need. Like for me as an entrepreneur, especially starting out, qualifying for a construction loan or even my own personal homestead is a lot harder because I don't have verifiable income, right? Now, if somebody has consistent income and job history, you can use that to go and get your personal house that you can do a house hack on or a loan on or something like that. So that there's ways you can work it where it doesn't have to be all or nothing.
Yeah, and that's a good way to put it too. Is there is plenty of that in social media as well. Just quit or make your own path. And while there is beauty to that, there's also some stuff you actually have to deal with, right? Like, hey, if I want to pull out a loan, maybe the lender is gonna ask me for more stuff, right?
Exactly, right? And so I think that every single person's situation is different, and you can't compare it. Like their threshold for unknowns, or that might be, or risk tolerance might be a better word to say, right? Their risk tolerance might be a lot less or a lot different. So you can't just throw everybody in a bucket. Like if any of the listeners are trying to figure out which way to go, like find out what works for you. If you have a job that you love, that you truly enjoy, there's nothing wrong with that. If it's giving you fulfillment, if it's giving you joy and purpose in your life, but yet you still want to secure your future and make sure that you have a retirement plan outside of a 401k and all of that stuff where you're building wealth, uh, structure it like that, build it like that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to put it as well. I know you mentioned, the emphasis of that sort of community and being, with people who are also riding with you as well. What exactly is your educational uh, platform providing, right? That's maybe unique to wholesaling or unique to real estate in general.
I think for us, so I do have a private community. It's called the Real Estate Corral Investors Network. And it's like a mentorship slash community where we're going to have mentorship calls, but you're a part of a private community where every single person has a level of real estate investing education, right? And now you have access to private money lenders. So when you go and you get that deal, well, you have people in the community that just do private money lenders. Or if you're a wholesaler, then you have people that you can wholesale your properties to. Or if you're looking for a partner, you have those options in there. And so it just gives you the ability to fast track the things that you're doing, no matter which avenue you're taking.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like a one-stop shop, right? Because there are so many different options out there, and um, it can also be a little bit discouraging as well. At least through the grapevine, I've heard some people say, "Well, wholesaling's drying up, and the market's changed, and the economy, and all these different things." And I don't know. What do you make of that?
Oh, I love that question. I'll say this: if anybody is not getting a deal and they're just getting started, it comes down to three things: volume, consistency, and follow up. I absolutely guarantee it. If they are not getting a deal, it is because there is a break in one of those three chains: their volume, their consistency, or their follow up. Period. Like that's all it is. Um, Wholesaling isn't going anywhere. It's been around forever. although in certain states, maybe laws may change, but it's still going to be there. And we can still pivot around some of those laws. If they require us to go get a license, then you just go get a license. Like it's just that simple. You pivot. So I don't want people to think that it's going anywhere. Like I'm in one of the most competitive quote unquote markets, Dallas, Texas, and ironically in Houston, Texas, where there's tons of real estate investors. There's no shortage of deals there. We're not, our deal flow hasn't slowed up, right? There's tons of opportunity.
Absolutely. Great insight, Clifford. Well, I know we touched a bit about, your community and your platform. Is there anything you haven't said that you really just like to hit home for us?
I think for anybody just wanting to get started or wanting to get going, just be okay with failing forward, right? Like there's not one successful person that hasn't gone through defeat, failure, they messed up, all of those things. Like I have put my boot in my mouth so many times, I can still taste the leather, right? But you can't let that discourage you, or you can't let that stop you. Whatever it is, find a way to make it work, find a way to get creative, connect yourself with the right people. And again, this doesn't just pertain to wholesaling. I don't care if it's new construction. I don't care if it's a completely different industry. I don't care if you're wanting to be in the insurance industry, whatever it is, you are going to find key players, top players in every single industry and communities in every single industry. Find them, be a part of it, and rock and roll.
Absolutely, Clifford. I think that's a great way to cap the show. It's been great catching up with you. Again, seeing all the progress you made, walking a little bit through, what wholesaling is and your platform. So, thank you again for sitting down with us tonight.
Oh, absolutely. It's my pleasure. Also, if it helps your listeners, I have a 5-step guide on getting started with wholesaling. It's a free PDF. It doesn't cost them anything. I can send you that link, and we can download, or we can send them over that PDF, and they can have it.
Absolutely, guys. Well, like Clifford just said, we'll make sure to have that PDF completely free. It'll be in the show notes. In addition to, obviously Clifford's contact info, all his social media pages, or maybe if you're just in the Dallas area, and you wanna chat, we'll have Clifford's info in there. So, Clifford, thank you again so much for chatting with us.
My pleasure, brother. Anytime.
Yes, sir. We'll talk to you later.
Yes, sir.